Anyone who's coming into the crypto space and who doesn't own Bitcoin, they need to really buy Bitcoin ASAP. Bitcoin should go to approximately 300K, $300,000 this year, if not higher. I've been crazy enough to call these numbers for a long time, and it's only now that I don't seem to be crazy anymore.
Today, we're joined by one of the most well-known Bitcoin bulls in the game, Carl Runefelt. You may know him as The Moon from The Moon Show on YouTube. He's been calling 100K Bitcoin for years.
Bitcoin is finally at $100,000, exactly as predicted.
And now that we're finally back in six-figure territory, we're going to break down what's driving this market, whether Ethereum is finally back, and how Carl is trading the cycle. Carl, it's great to have you join us. Thanks so much. Firstly, Bitcoin is back above 100K. There are a lot of reasons for this, and I'm very, very curious to hear from you what you think is the main reason behind Bitcoin back in six figures and what's led to this moment.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And I think there are many reasons. First of all, we have all the fundamental reasons, but there are also some technical indicators in the chart that also told us we have to go up. And of course, you could mention Trump and, worldwide factors. But even more important than that, I would actually go back to the on-chain data of Bitcoin and the fundamentals of Bitcoin, the blockchain and the halvings and the scarcity of Bitcoin. And just to point out the fact that Bitcoin is doing what Bitcoin should be doing at this point. Like after every halving, we see a big run up. And you have a supply shock, you have a halving, and basically the inflation rate gets cut in half, and of course the demand keeps going up, but the newly created supply keeps going down. So of course the only thing that makes sense is that the price keeps adjusting to the upside, and that's what keeps happening every 4 years. And that's why I've been so confident that Bitcoin this cycle will break 100K and will break even higher than that. I think Bitcoin could easily go to 300K even this year. And then, of course, in the next cycle could go into the millions of dollars per coin. So I'm not surprised at all. And in fact, if someone watches my channel, they know that I've been crazy enough to call these numbers for a long time. And it's only now that I don't seem to be crazy anymore. But I remember back then, when Bitcoin was at like $3,000, I said we're gonna go to 100K, and people called me crazy, but not anymore.
We'll get into some of those predictions just now, but in terms of the news cycle, the last 2 weeks has been pretty crazy. We've seen a number of these new Bitcoin treasury companies be formed. There's been massive institutional demand. I mean, Bitcoin ETFs are still buying up thousands of Bitcoin every day, and we're only getting about 900 newly minted Bitcoin. The inflows are massive. Institutional adoption is massive. Some US states, New Hampshire last week announced that they would start investing into basically Bitcoin through new legislation. Do you factor all of this in when you're doing your trading, or are you looking at a lot more sort of just charts and fundamentals when you're trying to figure out if the market's moving one direction or another?
When I open trades, usually I look at the technicals more than fundamentals, because news and tweets from Trump, like you cannot really predict them, right? One day there's a tweet, another day there's a tariff coming out. Like these things are impossible to predict, and therefore they are bad indicators for opening up a trade. So I look at the technicals, and I did open up now just a couple of weeks ago a $12 million position actually over on Bybit on Bitcoin, and that was purely based on technicals, and based on my bias towards Bitcoin being in a bull trend and it should be going up. So when we saw a dip, I just decided to jump straight into that, or I started with the $7 million, and then I've added to that position as we keep going up. I intend to keep that one open for now, because I still think we're overdue for the next leg to the upside, and that next leg to the upside should be up to $130,000 within the next few weeks, if my analysis is correct, and then even higher.
What's your personal price target for Bitcoin in this cycle? Where do you think we are in the cycle? Does a 4-year cycle still exist, or have macro conditions completely thrown that out the window?
So I think the 4-year cycle is clearly still intact. It's still there because we're here at 100K, exactly as I've been predicting and as Plan B has been predicting, who actually was a big reason for highlighting the 4-year cycles, right, with the stock to flow ratio model. And yeah, it really looks like we're exactly on par with that. And according to those models, my own and Plan B's and many other models that strictly look at the 4-year cycles and the halvings, Bitcoin should go to approximately $300,000 this year, if not higher. That's according to those models. Now, will that happen? Well, only time will tell. But I'm still quite confident that has a very high likelihood of happening. So that's why I hold all my money in Bitcoin, 90%. Then I have some altcoins as well, but my whole net worth is in crypto, and out of that, 90% is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about to take off. And what you can see right now is that Bitcoin is very close to the all-time high. And obviously, I can't guarantee that we're going to break it in the next 24 hours. However, I can tell you this. If we do break the all-time high within the next 24 hours, then Bitcoin could easily break to $120,000 by Friday. That's just very, very obvious at this point. We already broke above critical support, which of course now should be resistance, but we broke through it. And, we broke through this blue line. And I told you guys, when we break this blue line, then we know Bitcoin is about to take off. That's why I opened up all of these big long positions here. On Bitcoin, I have a big $1 million position over on Cointelegraph. I truly believe we are on the verge of the biggest bull market you've seen in your life. So my Bitcoin position is already $140,000 in profits. But I haven't done any major purchases yet with Bitcoin. But when we do fly above $150,000 and $200,000, hopefully this year, then I will be cashing out some of that Bitcoin into real estate, some apartments, cars, watches. And then in the next bear market, I may or may not liquidate some of that to buy Bitcoin back cheap again. But in the next bear market, I think Bitcoin is probably going to go back below 100K to revisit those levels at the peak bear markets, But yeah, we're not going to go much lower than that. So I think what we're seeing now is a fantastic buying opportunity on Bitcoin and altcoins, including Ethereum, definitely, because yeah, we're just getting started. The cycle is just, the bull market has just started. I think we saw the first kind of few candles of it, but the last candles are the exciting part. But you want to buy before those candles happen. Those are the candles to sell, not to buy.
Yeah, it's starting to bubble up. I mean, Ethereum skyrocketed past $2,000 for the first time since May last week, or since April last week. The Pictra upgrade went live last week. What are you putting down the reversal to that and this massive spike in the price of Ethereum? Because to be honest, on X, you've been calling it for a while, like keep buying Ethereum, keep buying Ethereum. It's going to reverse soon. And are you confident that all the downward trend is over and we're moving to higher highs?
Yes, I was waiting for. I mean, I've been buying and I've been losing some money with Ethereum for the past like 6 months, but now I'm very confident that we've seen the bottom, because that what I was really waiting for was like one of those big candles to really, show the bottom. So I think now we've seen the bottom. And I think, yeah, Ethereum is a fantastic buy now. It's still lower than $3,000. I believe Ethereum could easily go above $10,000 this cycle, maybe even higher, maybe even 15,000. Like, it can really go high. I can't really predict the exact price of Ethereum because I don't really have a good model for it. I just know that if Bitcoin goes to 300K, then naturally Ethereum usually follows. And Ethereum is now undervalued compared to Bitcoin, in my opinion, based on historical price action, because that's just it's just a fact. It's been bleeding against Bitcoin heavily and will rebound in this bull market, I'm very sure. If you look at Ethereum, I mean, look at this. We're basically breaking back above this yellow line now, which is obviously the biggest, strongest signal we've seen for Ethereum in a very long time. So just look at this. Massive previous support, turns resistance, but we're breaking it, which is so bullish. Ethereum will go to 10,000, maybe even 15,000 in this cycle, which is why I have this Ethereum long position open right now. Look at that. 800% in profits.
I mean, obviously you're a trader, so you're looking at this from a technical perspective, but do you look at a lot of the fundamentals, and have you been following the kind of conversations that have been going on around the future of Ethereum, its leadership, and where the protocol is going versus Solana, Sui, Aptos, and all of these newer L1s that have kind of come to, eat Ethereum's dinner?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And personally, I have bought a bunch of Sui as well to kind of hedge my Ethereum bet. But I have actually been talking about this since probably beginning of my channel, like for 5 years or something. I've been saying that actually one risk with Ethereum is that, of course, there are competitors and will be more competitors in the future. And now that future is happening. Bitcoin doesn't have competitors. And this is why 90% of my net worth is Bitcoin, not Ethereum, because I don't see the risk with Bitcoin. Bitcoin really doesn't have any risks. Ethereum does, and all the other cryptocurrencies have risk. So my confidence in Bitcoin can never ever be translated over to any other altcoin. That's just a fact because of that risk competition.
Do you ever think about, I should only be trading Bitcoin then if you want to, live as you preach? If that makes sense, a lot of Bitcoin maxis would be like, Carl, come on, you're a big proponent of Bitcoin, but you're trading a load of shit coins. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that trading things is different than what you hold and believe in, right? Like I wouldn't save my money in Ethereum, but I save my money in Bitcoin, and that's what I tell my audience. When I buy Ethereum or Sui or any other altcoin, I'm usually very clear that this is not a long-term investment, or this is not me thinking this is going to outperform Bitcoin long-term or anything. Like I'm usually very clear that this is a trade. This is maybe a short-term swing trade, or like a bag for the bull market, right? And that's how I treat it. And if I'm bad at communicating it, I will try to do that better. But that's really my game plan, to basically hold Bitcoin, and these altcoins are just to make more Bitcoin. And in the bull market, I am going to attempt to sell all of my altcoins at high prices and just put it back into Bitcoin and buy apartments and rent them out, and make some money in the bear market from rental income. I don't want to sit with altcoins in the bear market, unless it's something that I'm deeply involved in, and I do it really like a support to those companies, because I am involved in certain companies where I want to support it, and then of course I'm not going to dump on them. But generally, I would say I want to get rid of most of the altcoins, because as you can see in the bear market, they all go down like 95%. Like there's no fun in that. and then you're better off holding Bitcoin and some real estate.
Maybe you can chat a little bit about your journey over the past 3 or 4 years, and how your approach to trading has changed, especially in the last 6 months to a year.
That's a great question, because obviously there's no secret that I've been in this crypto space for a long time. I've made good money from it, so that's amazing. I'm very happy about it. I visualized this lifestyle I have today. Like I was in a supermarket just like 7-8 years ago, back in 2018. I quit my job, so that's not even 7 years. It's very recently, actually, if you think about it. So 7 years ago, I was a cashier, and I visualized living in abundance and having a lot of money, being a multimillionaire and being my extraordinary version of myself. So now that I live that lifestyle, it's amazing. And of course, if I double my net worth now or make it 10x, it doesn't change my life at all. Like there's nothing I need on a daily basis that I can't buy now. And I can go racing with my cars as much as I want. I can change the tires of my cars as many times as I want. So if I triple my net worth now, that will not change. So obviously I will still increase my net worth over time. It's better to do that than to decrease it, right? But I also want to focus my attention on things that make me very happy. And racing does make me happy. I love racing. I have some hobbies. I love making music. I want to do more of that. I want to spend more time with my family, like traveling with my family, showing them, the world. And so those things are important. And also charity. I recently started doing more charity, because I think that's also something which is an obligation for someone who made money. And that is very important, especially for children with disabilities, because I have experience with that from my little brother. He was born with multiple disabilities and had multiple surgeries and difficulties. So that's also very important to me. So I'm not necessarily retiring like that, but what I am doing is I'm shifting my focus and allowing people to take over my stuff a little bit, and I shift into things that make me happy and things that are important outside of crypto. And I think charity is, of course, a very important part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I follow you on social media, and I've seen the videos about your brother and all of that. So I salute you, and I think it's a very good thing to do when you have a life of abundance to pay it forward and help others. I did want to chat to you about 2025 in particular. It's been a crazy year. It's been, honestly, headlines wise, running Cointelegraph, like keeping up with the news cycle is absolutely unreal. And I don't think anyone saw the Bybit hack happening. I know you lost a lot of money. I watched some of your videos afterwards, and there was some liquidations, and you're probably someone that this doesn't happen to often. How did you deal with that? Were those some of the biggest losses of your entire trading career?
The Bybit hack, no, there I didn't lose any money because actually no one lost money, or Bybit did, and they were able to fill the hole very well, and they were able to sort that out. So that was great. But I think it was just a few weeks before that
Yes, yeah.
that I actually lost a lot of money in liquidations. Yeah, that was crazy when Ethereum had that massive week down. And yeah, it was a terrible 24 hours when that happened, because I just didn't see that one coming. So I mean, luckily I had made some good money just a couple of weeks earlier with my XRP trade. I famously made a pretty crazy trade on XRP with like $300,000 with leverage on Bybit, and made 5.3 million in just I think it was 4 or 5 weeks, which was pretty crazy. It was a public trade, so it was fully transparent and public, and I showed people when I took profit, and I took all that money out. I put it in Sui, I put some Ethereum, I put some Dogecoin, and I think Shiba. So that was good. But I think actually what I lost in those 24 hours later erased all of those gains. I think I lost more than 5 million then. So I think I even lost like 6, 7. I don't know. It was a lot. So, but that's the thing that with the market, like you make it, and you give back. So that happens with the market a lot. But I'm still very confident that in the bull market now I will make back all that I lost and even more. And then we just have to be good at taking profits and taking money out of the market, and really putting it somewhere where you don't put it back into the market. So if you made money with a high leverage trade, then don't take profits and put it into a new leverage trade. Maybe you put it into maybe Bitcoin, or you put it into maybe spot Ethereum, or maybe even outside of crypto, an apartment, or invest in a business, like something like this, and always take some profits like that.
What advice do you have for retail traders entering the market at this stage of the bull run, especially newcomers? There's so much to learn. You need to know the fundamentals of trading before you even start playing this game. What would you say to newcomers, and what should they look out for?
I think anyone who's coming into the crypto space and who doesn't own Bitcoin, they need to really buy Bitcoin ASAP, because that's like step one. Step two would be to maybe gamble with the altcoins, but honestly, most of the trading in altcoins is gambling unless you really take it seriously, and if you really feel like you know what you're doing, which most people don't feel like. I would say, if you're really like a newcomer, like trading is a tough sport, right? So maybe that's not for you. Like trading is maybe only for like 20% of people, so it doesn't necessarily mean that trading should be the path. But just buying Bitcoin, holding it, buying some Ethereum, buy some altcoins, hold them for this cycle, and I think that's step one. And then I can't tell you what's going to be like the best altcoins this cycle, because honestly, who knows, right? It's always like a new narrative coming out, and it's so hard to predict. What I really do believe in, though, is crypto gaming and AI. So any cryptocurrency that touches crypto gaming or AI, I think will do well this cycle. I think that's two narratives that will do very well. And I personally bought a lot of altcoins in those niches. So that's my little tip, I would say.
Fantastic. Lastly, when do you see this cycle topping Bitcoin and the rest? Is it in 2025 or early 2026?
I would say before the end of this year, we're going to have that big cycle top. We're going to have euphoria and craziness and headlines and all of that stuff. Before the end of this year, I'm very confident. Exactly when, I'm not too sure, but I would say Q3. So maybe like, June, July, August, something like that should be a pretty decent time to predict a cycle top. But every cycle is a little bit different than the previous one, so it can differ a few months here and there. And I really think 300K would be my kind of, you know, reasonable target. If anything lower, I would be surprised. Anything higher, I would also be surprised. If it's higher than 500K this year, I would be surprised. But if it's 300K, I would literally just say, okay, that's pretty much what I was expecting.
All right, Carl, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate you chatting to us. We really enjoy the insights. I've been watching your channel for a very long time now. And when I was interested in getting into trading, you were one of the first people that I kind of, followed to see how you're doing things. And I really like the way you approach your content. So thanks again for your time. We look forward to chatting to you in a few months. And I guess good luck trading, not that you need it. And to all of you out there who watched and enjoyed this is not financial advice. We're purely talking to a man who's done a lot of trading in his time and picking his mind for some insights. So Carl, thanks very much. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.